Hey everyone, this is Dave Brascala. I just thought I would do a quick bit of voiceover on this video. This is just a quick render out of the file in Procreate that I did the painting on. So I just thought I'd talk about that briefly. What I typically do is I do my pencil sketches on a graphite pad, and then I capture those with the camera inside the iPad. Don't really worry too much about the quality because I'm going to paint over it. And you can see that I'm doing that here. I've worked out a lot of my values previously in the sketch, so it's more about adding color at this stage, although you will notice me going in and adjusting details as I decide I like this or I like that. I'm not afraid to just start changing things as I go, although I get into trouble doing that at times. You can see that I'm adding in the color now. I tend to be a little low contrast and a little low chroma on my color choices as I paint. So I find that when I get to the end of the process, it's often necessary to do some post-production. Sometimes I can do it directly in Photoshop, but I can do it, directly in Procreate, but I'll sometimes take it over into Photoshop to do it there as well. Typically what I'll do is duplicate the layer that I'm working on, and I tend to work on just one layer, and then I will set that to overlay. You saw me do it right there. Just punches up the contrast, punches up the color a little bit, and sort of repairs my natural tendency to go light on those things. I set the overlay sometimes around 30%, sometimes around 50 or 60, depending on what I think the picture really needs. I prefer it when it's as subtle as possible. But that's just me. I'm low contrast by nature and low chroma by nature, but I realize that things need to be pumped up a little bit at the end of the process. And sometimes that opens up ideas for colors. One of the things I'll do at the very end of my process is I'll take one of several custom textures that I have that are fairly subtle and fairly uniform, but tend to have a little bit of color in them, although overall they might be warm or they might be cool. But it's more about getting the texture in there, because I feel digital work can sometimes be, you have to work really hard to get personality into it, I think. And so by overlaying this texture at the very end, it works the same way that a glaze can work on an oil painting or with natural media, and that it tends to unify everything a little bit and give a little bit of surprise in the color and the texture. Overall, everything just gains a slight bit of unity, which I find really helps the pictures. Although you have to be careful with that kind of thing. Naturally, too much texture becomes very obvious and starts to look like a gimmick. So I try to keep it as subtle as possible, but I do use that quite often when I work with digital painting. Here you can see me throwing in some bright greens. I'd looked at some Frazettas for inspiration, and I just decided to get a little wilder with my color. Sometimes you actually see a lot of green and flame, depending on what you're burning. And I also like to think about the after images that your eye sees when you look at a bright light source or bright campfire at night. You often get a lot of very interesting after images in your own vision. So throwing a little bit of that into the picture, I think, can really give it a naturalistic feeling. It might not make complete sense from a technical point of view. That color might not actually be there, but I think it throws a little excitement and the unexpected into the picture. And this is something that was quite popular to do in the 70s, I think. It's less popular now. People tend to be more precise, and I'm often working towards being a little looser and a little wilder. Try to surprise myself, so hopefully I don't go too wrong doing it. Well, the file's almost done here, replaying. You can see I'm just touching up edges. I tend to leave most things loose if I can, and just tighten up a few edges where I want the focus to come in and the eye to come in more towards the center of the picture. And that's really basically it. There's a little touch up here, and that's it. Thanks for watching this file, and we'll talk again soon. Hope to show you another picture quite soon. Thanks very much. Take care. Bye.